And our next speaker, Ginny Krauss, wants to kind of show you how you can become braver. She wants you to become the brave new you. She's an entrepreneur. She knows her stuff. She knows how to get the best out of you. And she says, it's a wild ride. Ginny, do we have you here with us today? Thank you for joining in.
Hello. Yes, I am here.
Excellent. Welcome to Dubrovnik, Ginny. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I was a part of day one yesterday for most all of the panels, and it was just wonderful. So I'm really excited to be a part of everything today. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Ginny. Take it away.
Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen. Give me just a moment. And if you guys can give me a thumbs up when you can see my screen, that would be great. Just let me know.
Thumbs up.
Awesome. Okay, great. So I want to tell you about how to become a brave new you. And that is getting acquainted with your new digital nomad life before it's even started. It's like envisioning the bravest, boldest version of yourself. So this is really for all of you guys that are tuning in that maybe you're not a digital nomad yet, or you've dabbled in it, or you're still dreaming about it. So I have a lot of information that can kind of get your wheels spinning in a more forward moving, bigger, braver direction, if you will. Oh, give me 1 second. So why some of you might be here today, you could be thinking about becoming a digital nomad, or you're ready to amplify your current digital nomad experience. You could be ready for a real change in your life, both mentally and physically. If your workday kind of looks like the picture on the left and you're like, oh, I just need some kind of surrounding, maybe the sea, that just makes you feel alive and creative again. You might want to be among fellow world shakers and risk takers, aka digital nomads, specifically located in Croatia, if you will. And before we really get in, I want to ask you guys a question. I want you to think for a minute, what is your why? And what is it in relation to your truth, your inner calling? So if you know me, you know that I love to go deep. I don't want you to just live a mediocre life. I don't want you to just go to work and do the 9 to 5 and say, oh, I got a paycheck today and that was great. I am from the notion that everybody should live their life at its greatest. I want you to live in your greatness, if you will. So I want you to take a few minutes and ask yourself, what is your why? You know, why are you here? Why did you sign up for this? What has you dreaming about becoming a digital nomad? And if you are here and you're already a digital nomad, I'd love for you to go back to that former version of yourself and think about, wow, like what was going on in my life that made me take that leap? Because maybe you can share that moment with someone in the audience, someone here in the chat even, to just get acquainted with your inner truth, that inner piece of you that has you wanting to connect with the world and live life on your own terms a little bit. So before we continue, I want to introduce myself a little bit for those of you that may not know me. Hi, I'm Ginny. Nice to meet you. If you hear my accent, it's because I am from Southern West Virginia in the United States, but I am coming to you today from Munich, Germany. I have been an American expat for a decade after I fell in love with the German and moved here. And then I met the beautiful Tanya not long after moving here in Munich. We met in Munich, and her love of Croatia poured out of her. And she made me love Croatia before I ever set foot in Croatia. And yes, I have been to visit, and it is just one of my favorite places. And I find myself dreaming of being there more often than none. I'm also a mom of 2 boys under 5. I'm the founder of the Brave Brand Agency. I'm the host of the Brave New You podcast. I'm a greatness coach, and I'm a storyteller. So I want to talk to you a little bit about why the why matters. And it's because when you own your why, you own your brave. Your why is going to be the reason you keep going, even in times when it feels impossible. Now, I'm going to get to some points a little bit later on about how I help entrepreneurs and I help people that live or that want to live a laptop lifestyle, so to speak, and some of the things that they've come in encounter with. But I want to tell you a story about the why of someone sitting there in your audience. And it is Tanya's story. She's here with us, and if you know her in person, she's the founder of Saltwater in Split, a co-working space. And I've had the privilege of knowing Tanya since 2012, and I'm only sharing her story because I'm a storyteller, and that's how I like to do it here. She has no idea that I'm sharing this, by the way. So I met her, and I think it was in a couple of years later in 2015. She was hopping all over the world, living a location independent lifestyle. So she would pop into Munich as a little European home base, so to speak, and she'd spend some time with me here and there. And on one specific trip, she said to me, I think I'm ready to settle down. I think I'm ready to just plant my feet somewhere, and it's Croatia. I know it's Croatia. I know that, it's calling my heart, but more so, I have this deeper feeling inside of me to create a hub, dare I say, a home for digital nomads who wanted to live a location independent life. And she just knew that Croatia was a gem that so many people in the world would soon fall in love with. So the fact that we're here in 2020 and she's a part of the forefront of getting this Croatia visa for digital nomads, that's just remarkable to me. But it all started because she had that inner why. She had this light that I saw in her, and it's my gift as a greatness coach to see the light in others and to really encourage them to really go for it. And we had a lot of conversations, and that's what she did. And those of you who spoke yesterday who said that they visited Croatia and they found community at Saltwater, that's just the start of what can happen when you just take time and you think about your why a little bit. And everything we do starts first with a vision. If you think about the things that you consume on a daily basis, the things that you love on a daily basis, think about what that meant for that person that created it, that creator, that founder. It all came to fruition because they first had a vision. So 2020 has given us all a chance to reimagine how we look not only at the world, but how we look at our own individual lives. Yes, there's been a lot of hardship this year, but I am a glass half full kind of gal. So I'm always looking at the upside of what this has enabled us to do. And I think it's enabled so many people to finally start reimagining their routines, reimagining their life, reimagining that they don't have to be stuck in a place that they don't want to be in, whether that be physically or work, and working remote, when, formerly people with companies, working remote wasn't an option for a lot of companies. But with COVID, it was a force, like, we've got to make this work. So it made the world all think different in a really forward moving place. And I think a lot of people who are coming from corporate and then realizing, oh, well, I'm working from home, have also had that time to start thinking about, well, what could I create for myself? What if I don't want to go back when, the offices call me back and I've got to go back to meetings with pants on. Who wants to go back to meetings with pants on? I don't know. So I want you to think about the possibilities this has opened up for you. And if you have a pen and paper, write that down. This would be a good time to write your why that I talked about and write down what the possibilities that the situations of this year has really opened up for you. So I want to tell you a little bit more about the work that I've done. So I've spent the last decade based in Munich, Germany, and being able to travel freely throughout the world while still being plugged into the world and the hearts of the entrepreneurs that I serve. Through helping people overcome fear, self-doubt, limiting beliefs, it's my mission to help those who dream actually be able to do, because there's a huge difference between the dreamers and the doers. And you might know that because you might be in the dreamer camp, you might be in the doer camp, and some of you might be a little bit of both. But it's my mission to make sure that, you can really bridge that gap. So when I became a location independent entrepreneur, it was after moving to Munich, Germany, living in a foreign country, not being able to speak the language, and working in corporate in a stuffy office vibe that just didn't feel good. And I didn't understand why I had to be sitting next to my boss to get the same work done when I really wanted to fly back home to America and sit at my grandmother's kitchen table and have her feed me delicious food, all while getting my work done. And they kept telling me, no, it's not possible. And I just knew that that wasn't true, because it didn't matter where I was physically sitting, the work was still the same. So I started to dream about something more for myself. And that's when I, became an entrepreneur, and I've now owned 3 different online businesses. I sold one last year, and now I primarily coach female entrepreneurs with helping them tap into their greatness and build a brand that embodies who they really are and what lights them up, so they can be an expert in their field or in their industry, but primarily for that purpose of being able to live the life of their dreams, and that's running a business from anywhere. I've also spent the better part of this year specifically helping entrepreneurs level up and pandemic-proof their brands through diversified revenue streams and building stronger relationships with their audiences. I'm a believer that when we build communities, when we build connectedness, human connection with people, that's when we're limitless. And whenever you can become a digital nomad, sometimes you might feel at home for, 30 days, 60 days, and then you're off on the next adventure. But a year-long digital nomad visa would really allow for a digital nomad to settle in, to kind of create family in their new location and be able to pour more back into the economy. I went from my lowest month in business that I had ever had back in March at the start of the pandemic to doubling my annual revenue in just 6 months during a pandemic. And that was because entrepreneurs were ready to pivot, and they were ready to dig in with somebody who could take them there. And that was the work that I really started to do this year. Was, people wanted to double down, diversify their income streams, not focus on one specific thing, but make sure that they had options. Would be one of the options weren't available anymore because of a COVID type situation. The thing that I know is that entrepreneurs are ready for a change. The pandemic was simply the cause of revelation. They were ready long before. This was the permission that they needed to step out of their zones of excellence and into their zones of genius. And those who pivot often thrive. Just like Cashley said yesterday in her talk, It's all about, the hotels that are going to pivot now locally and be able to do those wine, mixers and getting people social distancedly together, but who come together and embrace the change of the current times and are forward thinking and don't get stuck in what has them kind of in a rut. It's the ones that are just going to keep going and think, okay, how can I tweak this? How can I pivot? How can I step up? How can I do something different? And a lot of great ideas have come from people simply just having fun. I mean, dare I bring TikTok up on this? I mean, come on. How many people in the world out there realize that they just wanted to be silly and have some connection with strangers on the internet, right? So each of us has an inner thermostat setting. This is from one of my favorite books, The Big Leap. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. This is for those of you who feel like you're really great at your job, you're really great at the thing you're doing right now, but you know that there's just something more for you out there. So one of the quotes from it is, each of us has an inner thermostat setting that determines how much love, success, and creativity we allow ourselves to enjoy. And that is so true for people who want to become digital nomads. They want more than just success at work. They want more than just success in one area of their life. They want success in all areas. They want a place that lights them up and makes them feel alive and creative. They want to be surrounded by people who also want those same exact things. So when you can come together for a year, for a longer term with a digital nomad visa, you have the opportunity to make solid relationships with people, to really become a part of the community and settle yourself in and begin to experience success and happiness in more than one area of your life, but in all areas of your life. And it says, when we exceed our inner thermostat setting, we will often do something to sabotage ourselves, causing us to drop back into the old familiar zone where we feel secure. And the point of that is, when you surround yourself with the people who are also seeking that same like triple threat success, you're good on the love, success, creativity, joy, however you may see it in your own life, there's just a high caliber, there's a vibration that happens, and everybody is moving forward at the same vibration. And that's a really beautiful way to live life. So what if we could thrive at all the areas of our life at the same time? And this could be something that is a question for you to just think about, to yourself right now. Are you the kind of person that is currently thriving in all the areas? Is there an area that you feel, yeah, when I'm thriving in one, I do notice that the pin is dropping in the other? So that's a question that most who want a location-independent lifestyle seek to answer. They feel that traveling, seeing the world, making connections, having experiences. People want to have experiences, not just on Zoom, but in person, in a location that really makes them feel alive again. So I want to share with you, if you're in the audience and you're thinking about becoming a digital nomad, this is kind of specifically for you. 5 signs that it's time to make a change. And hey, while you're changing, why not become a digital nomad in Croatia? I mean, hey, you're here, right? So sign number 1, and this is things that I've dealt with in all of my work with people from all over, in all walks of life, and all different paths. And it's you falling out of love with your current situation. You could already be a nomad living somewhere, or it's a short term, you want to have a longer term situation, or you're working a 9 to 5 and now you've been working remotely for a while and realize, I don't want to put my pants back on to go back to work. So you want that situation to look and feel different. Number 2 is that you're no longer feeling motivated by your day to day. I mean, You don't have the sea, you don't have the Croatian culture around you. And that's something that maybe you're laying awake at night dreaming about. Maybe I would be motivated to do the thing that I really want to do if I was in the right place and surrounded by the right people to do it. You've been wanting to see the world, but not just as a tourist. You're ready to experience it as a local. And even for those digital nomads that maybe haven't stayed longer than 3 weeks or 3 months, that's a little time to get settled in. But you're not really having those experiences like you're living there like a local, that a year-long tourist visa, not tourist visa, a digital nomad visa can provide for you. Number 4 is you dream of having the space to explore something new. Try new things, meet new people, maybe even start your own online business. And we'll talk about that here in a few minutes because that's my zone of genius. And every day could feel like Groundhog Day. Now, this movie, if you've watched it, it's my husband's favorite movie. And believe it or not, he's just happy to live the same day over and over again. And I am the complete opposite. I'm just ready to go. So even before the pandemic, if you were in a situation where every day just felt like Groundhog Day for you, and then the pandemic just doubled it, maybe living a life of a digital nomad would be for you, because then every day can feel like a fresh start. I've managed to keep a strong connection with my home country while living abroad and creating new opportunities for myself for a decade now. So a lot of people that are embarking on becoming a digital nomad, whether that be working for your current company, starting your own business, is how am I going to make it work if my ties are with the US, for example, but I'm living in another time zone. And I'm here to let you know it's not impossible. Believe it or not, the majority of my clients live in California, and that's 9-hour time zone. But when you're an expert at what you do, when you really position yourself as the person that can help them and that they need, most of my clients wake up at 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. and they have coffee with me and start their day with me. And that's kind of stacked. I'll start with clients in California and then go down the row. And next thing I know, I'm having 6 a.m. coffee with 3 different people back to back. So it's not impossible. It's just all about how you get into a groove and you manage your calendar and you manage your schedule, and you kind of have pockets. And that's just for those of you who need to physically, be on calls and do webinars and things like that. But I'm totally down to do the webinar on the boat. So wherever I have to sign up for that, just like put me down because I'm in. But that is the beauty of being able to have an independent life, is because I can go anywhere and still have that connection with my home country. And you can do this in a deeper level as well. Online community, networking, masterminds, retreats, all of those things are ways that you can still live the digital nomad life that you want to have, but still keep a connection back home or wherever you might be having clients or doing business in as well. You just might have to get up a little earlier or work a little bit later. But for me, that's totally worth the payoff of getting to create my own rules. I even created a retreat for visionary female founders to join me in Croatia from all over the world, because I found it to be just so magical when I was there visiting, so that they could connect and reset their company visions. As founders and visionaries, often they're the bottleneck of their companies when they're in these growth modes. So as a greatness coach and a fellow visionary as well, it's my job to get women out of those places and bring them to see the world, so that way they can have a place to disconnect from their team, disconnect from the day-to-day, and start really envisioning the next level version of themselves. So I created this last year, and we were actually set to have it in June of this year, and it got canceled due to COVID because I had people coming from all over the world. But people want to experience Croatia. So it's not canceled, it's just on hold. But as soon as we can do that again, we'll be doing it. And I knew from the moment I had the idea that Croatia was the place in all of Europe that I wanted to take people to see. Because the times that I've been there, I have seen and I have felt the magic of Croatia. And I know that it's the place that can get founders and fellow visionaries to the next version of themselves. So I want to share with you, for those of you who may not be familiar with the online business industry, it is $1 billion industry and it is rising daily. And now that was pre-COVID. From SaaS startups, and that's software as a service for those of you that might not be familiar with that term, coaching, course creation, marketing agencies, you name it, all running fully with remote employees and freelancers worldwide. Now, whether you establish yourself as an expert and you work for somebody else, through sites like Upwork, things like that, if you're looking to leave your full-time job and you're not exactly sure how to get started, you can get paid for your experience in many different ways on the internet, but you can also start your own thing based on your skill set and your expertise that you currently do. And this is huge. And this really opens things up to just be limitless for you to work anywhere. Creating a personal brand, that is one of my areas of expertise. And that can be the key to unlocking the life you've always wanted. Because whether you position yourself as an expert or hire or start your own online company, this really gives you an edge that you're the go-to person and you can really pivot your business quickly if need be because you're in control. I've pivoted my business many times over, and I've been able to do that because I've always been able to position my personal brand around myself as an expert, depending on, what it was that I was focused on at that time, or the audience that I was speaking to and the niche and things like that. So whatever you're doing, if you want to have a location independent business, whether you're working for someone else or you're thinking about creating your own thing, I want to encourage you to think about your own personal brand, whether it's just a website with, what you do, your skills, so that way people can link over from LinkedIn and learn a little bit more about you. It doesn't have to be fancy from the start, but just making sure that it's professional and it's real and you stand out as a human, and a good story about yourself always goes a long way. Making a name for yourself wherever you are in the world with an online business being among the fastest growing industries, more and more people are leaving their 9-to-5s and creating the thing that makes them feel alive, especially people who already just weren't feeling it. They are even more hesitant to go back. So they are willing to do whatever it takes to create that thing that can really get revenue coming in the door. And again, to Cashley's point yesterday, whenever she broke down the different countries that were offering the nomad visas and saying that there was a minimum requirement for companies, for someone to be making in their business to be able to qualify, that's the word I'm looking for a digital nomad visa. Well, online entrepreneurs absolutely could have cash in the bank, but maybe they're just getting started. But an online business is fast scaling. I mean, it is just quick. So a lot of people may be a little modest in the beginning, but then they have the tools, they have the resources to be able to scale up their monthly revenue really quick and really fast, unlike other types of industries. But I want to tell you that it is a process. especially when you're not sure where to start, where this new direction is taking you. And it is scary, but there are bigger and more amazing things waiting for you on the other side. And that's why I feel that this whole community that they're making here in Croatia in order to support digital nomads, like that's going to be that safe place for you to land. So if you're really thinking about becoming a digital nomad, Croatia really feels like the safest option to go with in current times and in all times, if I might say, because I've been to Croatia a few times. And that's just something to really think about. Going back to that why again, thinking about what lights you up and what you really want out of life, because I'm a firm believer that we only get one life, so we better make it great. And this is an opportunity for just life renewal, basically, to just try something new and to dream something different, whatever your situation. So if you showed up today, it's because you know that you're being called to make a change, whether you're considering becoming a digital nomad visa holder or you're the one creating this possibility for those seeking it. You want more for your beautiful country of Croatia than just the tourists coming in on boats that aren't really investing in the local businesses. You want more for your local economy, and digital nomads want to have more security going somewhere and knowing that they can actually stay somewhere for more than 3 months at a time. That means like you're both ready to make a change and you can really come together and help each other create something really amazing. So this is me, Ginny Krauss, greatness coach, giving you permission to make a change. I find that in a lot of my work is a lot of people want to make change, but they're just waiting around for somebody to just tell them, go for it. So in case you needed that nudge on the shoulder today, this is me telling you, you got what it takes, just go for it. I want to encourage you to use this time to unlock what you really want your life to look like. I've given some examples here. You can redesign your work schedule to fit your lifestyle, whether you're a digital nomad already or planning to become one. Start looking at your days as if you already were one. And that's how you can start envisioning your future life. So take less meetings in times that you otherwise wouldn't be available if you make the move to Croatia. For example, start setting your current days up for success to match your future lifestyle. And I'm a firm believer that it's all going to come into alignment. You can maintain ties with your home country through online community. Like I said, still do online networking. You can attend masterminds, retreats. You can start your own business online or market yourself as an expert to work remotely for somebody else's online business. And use this year that you will have as a digital nomad in Croatia to tap into the bravest version of yourself and truly explore what you want out of life and beyond. With the Croatia Digital Nomad Visa, you'll have a fresh perspective, not only on your own life, but on the world. Rooted in community, the people of Croatia are the warmest, most welcoming people and will make you feel like family. I love Michael's testament to, making food with a grandma who is now trying to pair you up with all of your future wives, for example. And that's absolutely been my experience with the few times that I've been in Croatia and all of the contact that I've had there, starting the side of my business that is going to run retreats there. People just feeling like family from the first initial contact. And you don't find that in all cultures and in all countries, but I can tell you that you get that in Croatia for sure. So let's discover what it would take for you to dream bigger and to do it in Croatia. So thank you for having me. It's been an honor to be here and get to share so much about something I'm passionate about and be a part of something surrounding a place that I'm also equally as passionate about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ginny. Round of applause for Ginny, please. And a virtual clap as well. There is a button on Zoom for that. Ginny, thank you very much. We're going to take questions for you. So while they're coming in, I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned a few times that you don't want to put your pants back on. So what percentage of meetings do you not wear your pants in now?
Oh, a lot. I did put pants on today just in case, you were going to call me out and make me stand up. But, I haven't been wearing pants to meetings for almost a decade. But my husband is fresh new to working at home. So he's really living the no pants lifestyle.
I love it. Excellent. And obviously I have to ask, what's your favorite place in Croatia?
I have not been to Dubrovnik yet, but it would be Split.
Perfect. Anywhere in particular?
Saltwater Split, of course.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And yesterday with Jay, we talked about where's your water? So I thought I'd ask you the same as well. What's your water, or where's your water?
Yeah, so my water started with the river because I grew up near the river in southern West Virginia. So that's definitely where it started. But now as an adult, my water is in Croatia. That's definitely the kind of water that I gravitate to when I want to step into my own greatness.
Perfect, thank you. Do we have any questions from the audience here? Let's have a look. Everyone's being a bit, I said at the beginning, people maybe drank a bit too much last night, so they need to top up.
Not a worry. I'll be on, so if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer in the chat as well.
Okay, cool. I have a couple more questions for you because I was making a few notes. You mentioned about COVID really making entrepreneurs push forward with things. Why do you think this was? Why was this the push that people needed?
I think people really started to see how it was impacting their lives. And if your life is so impacted by, your work or what you're doing, and you're needing to make changes, maybe you are a family and you have kids at home, for example, you're realizing, wow, something needs to change more than just my routine. And it's really enabled them to just think outside the box, or realize that revenue streams needed to change because maybe they had a physical business or the events industry. For example, I've had a lot of clients over the years that are in the events and wedding space, and they weren't able to be held. So moving to creating online events and experiences and things such as this one that we're experiencing now, having to really be first to market in those pivots, right?
Brilliant. And when it comes to people that say aren't digital nomads, are dreamers, as you said earlier, is there something you've recognized as being that first thing that makes them, when you're a kid and you've got to dive into the pool for the first time, that makes you dive in? What's that first thing that pushes them on their journey forward?
Yeah, I think it's a life experience. A lot of people, something has happened, not necessarily good or bad, but, they've came across a transition in their life. They went through something that makes them really think, wow, okay, now I'm asking myself, do I want to feel different, or feeling stuck or feeling in a rut, and realizing, is this really what I want to be doing for the next 5 years? And then it starts to kind of look inward from there. So I think dreamers are they come to a place in their life where they realize they also won't outgrow it. That if they don't do something with it, they're not sure that they'll ever feel fulfilled.
Okay. We have one question talking about looking internally at you. How did COVID make you improve your own life and business?
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, it definitely made me shift and do things a little bit differently. I have a branding agency that I actually closed 2 years ago. And then I realized a lot of the women that I was working with through my masterminds and my one-on-one coaching, they needed to actually rebrand themselves for their new positioning. So I hurried and revamped my team again and got my branding agency back up and running to make sure that I could support them with getting that done and not them having to go somewhere else and waiting 3 months, 6 months to get something up and going. So it was really about how can I serve my person where they're at with what they need right now. And that was the best physical way that I could serve them.
Okay, perfect. And the final question is, where will the retreat be in Croatia?
On the island of Brač, from Split. Yeah, it's Brač. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, we're looking forward to having you here. And obviously, you haven't been to Dubrovnik yet, but as I'm sure you would have heard, that all our speakers, online speakers, will be having free accommodation in Dubrovnik and a packet of Skittles.
Well, I'm definitely in for both.
Yeah? Okay, good. I'm glad. Again, Ginny, thank you very much for your insightful talk. Hopefully, you've turned some dreamers into doers, and they'll be making their way to Croatia very soon. Thank you very much, Ginny.
Awesome. Thank you.